Hello there and welcome. My name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee, and today we are going to make the little gossamer bags that you would give to wrap a present. Very excited about this, and yes, I know. So a very simple video today. Now I've got some lovely, I'm going to call it Halloween printed, but it's not, it's just bright and colourful. And we've got to love the colour orange, haven't we? Yeah. Orange is the colour of summer. So let's get rid of that. I've literally just chopped off a bit that I can use. And I'm going to go for the sort of bracelet size bag, just for demonstration, so no particular reasons. What I'm doing now is I'm literally just tidying up this piece of cloth. And I'm going to cut it into 2 rectangles. Now you do have to take in hem allowance, so do be warned. And that's just life really, isn't it? So, I know. The fold in the fabric's given me a bit of problems. I'm going to take off the salvage as well, because however nice it looks, it's not really fair for me to use the salvage for the videos because it means that you've got to find the salvage. Now also for this make, I've set up the sewing machine with orange thread just because I think it would work well with contrasting, or just black or white. And I've got some embroidery thread here to do the tassely bits. So now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a hem on the fold over bit so it's nice and tidy, and I'm going to do these individually. Oh, that is terrible. I know. It's not good. So I'm just going to do the sides, and I'm going to give myself a double hem allowance. So I've got it wrong side up and right side out, and literally, now you can mark it with a pin how far you need to go, but you need it so that you've got 2 running strips for the thread to be pulled through. And I'm going to do the other side of the top, and I'm going to stop at the same point. So I can just line that up by eye, and then when I come to the other bit I can stop. Now that's easy enough to do it by eye on this side. What I want for the other one is to be exactly the same. So I did make the mistake of pulling my bobbin thread then, so do be warned that when you're sewing these fine materials, you do have to just be aware that it's very easy to pull your thread through. So what I've done is I've measured it up there, hope you saw, and I've marked the first side with a pin. So let's sew down to there. Don't want to sew over the pin, but using the pin as place to stop. And then I just pull my bobbin thread back through, fold over the other side, and there we are. Yeah, it's just the previous fold where the fabric was stored was giving me a bit of problems then. So with my finger I can just line it up so I can mark it that way. But you could use 4 pins and then mark it up every way. Okay, so we've got this now, and that's the shape we're left with. And what we're going to do is we can either sew over the top of the fold with the embroidery thread and keep that in place, or we can use a bit of string. Now the advantage of using string, even though it's probably a bit more wasteful, is that if we do make a mistake then we haven't damaged the thread or the ribbon, because we could use either. So first of all I want to sew with one line across the top there, and then I want to sew with the other one. So I'm going to put both of them in, I'm going to fold this over and then I'm going to fold it over again so I've got my nice seam, and then I'm literally just going to run some stitches and ignore the string. And I may need a pin just to stop this from pinging up by the time I get it to the sewing machine. So it's held firmly under my thumb. I can move those strings out of the way and then place it under the foot. Now the next bit is a bit tricky. This is why we've used 2 pieces of string, and it really depends on your preference and what sort of quality we're looking for. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do it, and then it's up to you whether you do it. Okay, so what I'm doing now is with my thumb and my forefinger, I'm just literally rolling those 2 bits of string apart. Then I'm placing them underneath the foot of the machine, and then I'm going to do a line of stitches in between those 2. Now with this sort of gossamer you can get away with actually not hemming it at all, but it's just wrong of me not to show you everything, isn't it? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same again with this one. I'm going to switch the camera off though because I don't want to bore you. Hi, so welcome back. What I've got now is this, and on the fold here where we folded it in just to do that bit of hemming, I'm just going to take some sharp scissors and I'm going to clip that out so that it's now back to the square. Now I quite like it. I did one of these and I got them the wrong way round, so that the French seam was on the inside, was on the outside, whereas I was intending to put it on the inside. So it's really up to you, but I'm going to do it on the outside. So literally I'm putting both sides right side up, and I'm going to sew along the outside. And then to keep my corners nice, I'm going to leave the needle down, lift the foot up, line it up again. Now if your bobbin has pulled, then we can just give it a little stretch. So, and again, and along the top, making sure that I've got all these strings out of the way, and then literally sew them up to the top. Now I've only used half of my hem allowance there on purpose, and it's up to you. There's a lot to be said for just trimming this, just so that we've got it as tidy as possible. It is a personal thing, isn't it? So and then the last one, and I can clearly see these stitches, so it's fine. Now this next line of stitches, what we need to do is turn it inside out, and we are going to sew right up to the hem of the previous fold of the top, so that now we've got everything in place. And this literally is the last sew, and then we need to just pull the thread through. Now I'm going to use reef knots. I'm sure that there are better knots to do, but I prefer reef knots. I think they look nice and tidy. So what I've done with my 4 fingers, you know, my thumb and my forefinger, is just roll it to get it out. But what I'm going to do is now just put it under the foot and then roll it again and then sew. I'm going to come to the corner, I'm going to lift my foot, I'm going to roll my seam again, and that's just literally to get it as tidy as possible, and then sew. Now when I get get to the top, I'm going to sew right up to the previous seams of where we did the top. There we are. And then there we are. So I'm going to turn it round the right side round now. Now we're just going to do the top, which is either ribbons or embroidery thread. Now I quite like the idea of using embroidery thread because obviously we've got to watch for the costs if we're making these for craft fair or even gifts, you know, so we've got to keep an eye on that. And I'm going to take the thread and I need it to be the same again. So there we are, we've got the bag and then the same again, and I need 2 of these. Now, okay, I'm guessing that a good time to do the excess of all these bits of cotton are now, because if we cut the string, it's not too big a deal. We can always thread either the ribbon or the embroidery thread through the little holes here. So, but if we actually cut the embroidery thread, then if we bought it specifically, you know, we might run out. So I'm just literally swooping them down and then I can get them all tidy. And it is life, you know, it is part of sewing. You know, it would be nice if when we're sewing we didn't have to cut off our threads and we didn't have to do cutting out, because I think that's everybody's least favourite thing. So, you know, but it's life, isn't it? We've got the majority of them out of the way. There's still a couple, but then there's a lot less. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so what I need to do now is the 4 bits of string that go round, I need to tie loosely all those bits of string are now on the table. So I'm going to take the top 2. And what I need to do is I need to loosely knot the embroidery thread to each of these. And then I can pull it through. So I've got one. And I'm keeping my hand on all the others just to keep them in place. Just trim that or unpick that, that's fine, and then do the next top one. Okay, so that's the top one done, and now I'm going to do a nice reef knot, which is you cross them over and then over and under and then cross them over. It's sort of left to right, there's a little rhyme and I'm sure it'll come to me, and then we can just pull that tight, and then I have to do the same with the lower ones. So because I did all my trimming on the table and then swooped them off, I now have to pick up this from the floor because I got it all caught up on my loose threads. So there's a lot to be said for having a tidy work surface. And I can still see this on my arm. Just like, go away! Okay, so I've done one little knot and I make sure I've got the right bit of string, and then I'm pulling it through. And I am actually trimming off these. I knew it was a bit of a thing, so I can just do it for speed. But if I'd bought ribbon, then I would do it slowly so that I would unpick it so I wouldn't waste too much. And then the last one, and then it's just a matter of pulling it through. So, and as you can see there, I did actually manage to go over a stitch, so I know if I had time I would have used an unpicker. Just tidy that off, and then I'm going to do my other reef knot. So left over right, right over left. Just pull those two, and then I trim those off. So there we are, we have a little Gossamer bag for little prezzies, and I'm sure it'll look better with a little bit of weight to it, but the only thing I've got to hand is cotton round, so there we go. I know, suitable for any gift, and also you could sell them on their own, I'm sure. So thank you ever so much for watching. My name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee. I do daily videos, so please do try and keep like, subscribe, so that you can keep up to date. Alright, thank you ever so much for watching.